First reading. A reading from the book of Exodus, chapter 12, verses 1 to 8 and 11 to 14. Yahweh said to Moses and Aaron in Egypt, "This month must be the first of all the months for you, the first month of your year. Speak to the whole community of Israel and say, on the 10th day of this month, each man must take an animal from the flock for his family, one animal for each household. If the household is too small for the animal, he must join with his neighbor nearest to his house. Depending on the number of persons, when you choose the animal, you will take into account what each can eat. It must be an animal without blemish, a male 1 year old. You may choose it either from the sheep or from the goats. You must keep it till the 14th day of the month, when the whole assembly of the community of Israel will slaughter it at twilight. Some of the blood must then be taken and put on both doorposts and the lintel of the houses where it is eaten. That night the flesh must be eaten, roasted over the fire. It must be eaten with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. This is how you must eat it, with a belt round your waist, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. You must eat it hurriedly. It is a Passover in Yahweh's honor. That night I shall go through Egypt and strike down all the firstborn in Egypt, man and beast alike, and shall execute justice on all the gods of Egypt. I, Yahweh, the blood will be a sign for you on the houses where you are. When I see the blood, I shall pass over you, and you will escape the destructive plague when I strike Egypt. This day must be commemorated by you, and you must keep it as a feast in Yahweh's honor. You must keep it as a feast day for all generations. This is a decree for all times. This is the word of Lord. Thanks be to God. Second reading. A reading from Paul's first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 11, verses 23 to 26. For the tradition I received from the Lord and also handed on to you is that on the night he was betrayed, the Lord Jesus took some bread, and after he had given thanks, he broke it and he said, "This is my body, which is for you. Do this in remembrance of me." And in the same way, with the cup after supper, saying, "This cup is the new covenant in my blood. Whenever you drink it, do this as a memorial of me." Whenever you eat this bread, then, and drink this cup, you are proclaiming the Lord's death until he comes. This is the word of Lord. Thanks be to God. A reading from the Gospel according to John, chapter 13, verses 1 to 15. Before the festival of the Passover, Jesus, knowing that his hour had come to pass from this world to the Father, having loved those who were his in the world, loved them to the end. They were at supper, and the devil had already put into the mind of Judas Iscariot, son of Simon, to betray him. Jesus knew that the Father had put everything into his hands, and that he had come from God and was returning to God. And he got up from table, removed his outer garments, and taking a towel, wrapped it round his waist. He then poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with a towel he was wearing. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered, "At the moment you do not know what I am doing, but later you will understand." Never said Peter, "You shall never wash my feet." Jesus replied, "If I do not wash you, you can have no share with me." Simon Peter said, "Well then, Lord, not only my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus said, "No one who has had a bath needs washing. Such a person is clean all over. You too are clean, though not all of you are. He knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he said, though not all of you are. When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments again, he went back to the table. Do you understand? He said, what I have done to you. You call me Master and Lord, and rightly so I am. If I, then the Lord and Master, have washed your feet, you must wash each other's feet. I have given you an example so that you may copy what I have done to you.